when I got born again, I just realized every aspect of my life changed. I became more confident, because you know how the Bible says, Jesus said to Peter, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church." Finding Jesus is finding yourself. When you find Jesus, your sense of self-worth, comes to another level. And that affects your romantic life. You see, the Bible says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Meaning, before I look for a wife, I should know the love of Christ. And so you have to see how your purpose in God, your sense of self-worth, first and foremost in God, helps every other aspect of your life. Christian faith is more practical than people give it credit for. All right? So apart from all those serious things I said, like starting a business, trying to sell a product to someone, those are the things that build your confidence. But simple things like having a hobby, getting really great at something, don't try to use a lady to build your self-esteem, or to reassure yourself of your esteem. It's going to be a terrible, terrible mistake you're going to make. All right, so don't try to do that. If you get yourself engaged in other valuable things in life, you just realize that it will filter into every other aspect of your life. All right, I just want to reiterate for the sake of emphasis: don't try to use a woman or another person to build your self-worth in life. Then the second is like unto it. I'm using Bible language. The second thing I want to say is, don't try too hard. Don't try too hard. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's very profound, and I'm sure that the ladies, in the comments will agree with me that trying too hard is a turn off. All right, and this is what the first point would do for you. When you already have a sense of self-worth and all of that, when you approach a lady, you're going to be comfortable in your own skin. And let me tell you this, don't tell anyone I told you, that's attractive. All right, that's attractive. Listen, you might have read 100 books on approaching ladies, on dating and all of that, but I will tell you one thing for sure: if you are confident, you already have it, have what you need, 80%. You see, and I don't think it's too early to say this. I wanted to say this much later, but you see, pickup lines. If you try pickup lines, you might be digging your grave. And some people do it and get away with it, and I will tell you why. You see, many guys, when they want to approach, ladies, because guys scientifically are likely to be more logical, and ladies are likely to be more emotional, so they are likely to be fixated. Guys are likely to be fixated on the words and what they say, but ladies are likely to be focused on how comfortable you are, what vibe you are letting off. That's what matters. And that's why, for many people who have great relationships, it's not even as if they say the right things all the time. They're just comfortable, and the lady has come to be comfortable with them and to trust them, and that's why even some of the wrong things they say, they get away with it, and all of that. Let me say this. I once read a scientific experiment, a behavioral experiment. I don't know if I said this in the first part or not, and in this experiment, I think there were 3 guys. They were shown the picture of a lady, and each of them was asked to say, in terms of percentage, how interested they are in the lady. So the first said 20%, the second said 50%, and the third said 100%. Now, when they gave the profiles, and all the guys, by the way, had similar profiles, they all looked good, great jobs, and all of that. And when they gave the profiles of the guys to the lady, in all the cases, in all the experiments, the lady was drawn towards the guy who was least interested. It's just funny. Now, this might not be the case all the time, but it's the case most of the time. Scientifically, it's proven that guys who are not, head over heels, just spark up a kind of curiosity, in the ladies, So, and that's something you might want to consider. So, people who are just really sincere and they just try too hard, they end up jeopardizing their chances many times. You are sincere and you don't understand what is happening, and that's why sometimes you wonder why all the bad guys seem to be having no problem at all, dating who they want and all of that, and the good sincere guys are asking ladies out, church girls and all of that, and no one is agreeing. And maybe because you're all over her, like, notice me, you're jumping like this, I'm a Christian, so it's Christian to be nice, it's Christian to be kind, but hey, it is also Christian to have your confidence in God. You shouldn't idolize anybody, and especially not the lady that you're trying to meet. And for this to work, I think you can call this a third point. You must have a healthy perspective to rejection. Let me tell you something. If you are too afraid to be rejected, maybe dating is not for you. And this is why a lot of people do a lot of silly things when the relationship does not work. I don't want that to be you. All right, so maybe you should have just little attachments. Don't tight it to your chest. Respect the lady, know that she has a choice, and then you have choices too. You are not out of choices, for crying out loud, okay? And this comes to, brings me to some theological misconceptions, where people think the Bible expression, bone of my bone, implies that there is one specific person who has your missing rib somewhere in the world, who you must get married to, otherwise you're screwed. But take note of this. I don't even have to explain the nitty-gritties of the, theological expression. I'll just say this to you. Adam said, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. So we know that Eve was made from his bone, but not of his flesh. So when he said bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, he was not necessarily referring to the fact that she was made of his bone, as people seem, but to the fact that she was of his kind. Because earlier, God brought animals to Adam to see what he would call them. And the Bible categorically tells us that he gave names to all the animals, but none of them was help meet, for Adam. So that was talking about class consciousness in terms of kind. All right. So, please, for God's sake, in all the Bible, you don't see, that doctrine there where you're told that there is only one person. So when you're rejected, just say in your mind, just say, well, even beautiful ladies make bad choices. So I just move on, And that's true. I'm not saying that to shade anyone, but you see, I think that's going to bring me to my next point. You have to understand that just because a lady is beautiful doesn't mean she will make the right choice all the time. All right? Even beautiful ladies make wrong choices. So the next point would be this. Get to know her. Get to know her. Because she's beautiful doesn't make her the right person. Doesn't make her the right partner. All right? And so you must have enough self-worth to be particular about who you want to spend the rest of your life with. And so if she's the one doing the scrutinizing, she's the one asking all the questions on the date, and you know why she's asking the questions, to know if you are worth her time or not, then something is wrong. So on the dates, ask questions, to know if she really loves the Lord, if she really loves people, if she has a compelling dream in life. You should have enough self-worth personally to also throw questions out there. All right. So that's quite important. And then here's the flip side. She's more likely to be attracted to you when she sees you as a person with high values, who knows what he wants. So, I mean, feel free to say, you know what, I always imagined and prayed that I would end up with such and such a person. So this is the kind of woman I want. This is the kind of standard I want. And you say that respectfully, not in an obnoxious way, obviously, but in a respectful way. Yes, and when a lady sees a guy who knows what he wants, I mean, it just raises her level of respect and attraction. So on those dates, ask questions too. And the next one, you're not going to see it coming, but someone has to say it. Hey guys, be realistic. you know, be realistic, or to put it in the most respectful way possible. Cut your coat according to your size. And that's not, listen, and to this there are exceptions. But whether we like it or yes, we all are class conscious people. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful, sinful manner. When Adam said bone of bone, flesh of my flesh, I mean, he was saying, now you're talking. That's class consciousness. All right. So when I'm talking about cutting your coat according to your size, you need to ask yourself this. If this is the type of woman I want, what kind of man must I be? So don't just, if wishes were horses, beggars will ride. A woman cannot spend quality time improving herself, getting better at everything, having a compelling dream in life, and then she's going to end up with you get what I'm saying. So take that challenge, improve yourself, dress better, talk better, get something decent doing. No one is even saying you have to be more successful than she is. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to be filthy rich. I'm not saying you have to be a multi-billionaire. I'm just saying, just have something going for you. Be confident, and that will definitely put you in a better position. All right, I'm going to end right now. But before I continue this, I just want to say, just in case you just joined later, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and then like this video. Liking this video will help more people see this. And I want you to do this also. I want you to send me a DM. What topic do you think I should treat next? Send me a DM, all right? And let me know, so that, because we're trying to tidy up our calendar for the year, for this YouTube year, all right? And then I'm also going to take 2 questions. But here is something also I want to say. Still on the first point. When it comes to being great, even on a friendship level, with the opposite sex, I'm talking about guys now, talking to guys, being comfortable with women. Here is something you need to realize. And it's just akin to something that happened in the Bible, when Jesus said, in the kingdom of God, those who are like little children will be great. There's a lot to cherish about little children. And I learned this somewhere, and I want to share this. In a relationship context, when you are free enough to say what you want, say how you feel in the most respectful but authentic way, without bothering too much, that people will be offended and all of that. Even though your aim is not to offend people, you must be authentic enough to say what you mean. You understand what I'm saying? And those people are more likely to have more ladies attracted to them. And I'm not telling you how to get all the ladies in the world attracted. This is a Christian channel, and I feel all these principles I'm sharing with you is to get the one right person. Okay? So here is what I want to tell you. Learn to be comfortable in your own skin. Learn to be expressive. Say how you feel. Say, when you're too scared to offend, that's a turn off. Just say what you want. Don't beat around the bush. Hey, I like you. I've been observing you for a while. I know you're a good Christian. I know you love people. I know you're great at what you do. I want to marry you. Let me tell you something. That is going to save you 1,000 pickup lines, corny pickup lines that are just going to make you the laughing stock of the entire neighborhood. So if you the right pickup line is confidence. Let me put it that way. Just be confident, and not in a narcissistic way, for God's sake, but just in a soft but confident way. All right, say what you want to say, how you want to say it, in the most respectful way, without any negative intention, but in the most authentic way possible. And there are ways to begin to practice it. Practice it in relationships generally. Some of you cannot tell your parents in the most respectful way, this is what I want to do with my life. Hey, if you can't do that, maybe that's why the ladies are saying no to you, because they don't want to be brought into that situation. Because a man who is heading a home and cannot stand up to his parents, not in a bashful manner, but to say, this is the direction I want to go with my life, that's going to be a terrible thing. So maybe that's something you need to start working on generally, to tell your colleagues at work, maybe even your boss, in the most respectful, clear way. Sir, ma, this is what I want with my life. This is what I want to do. Learn to do that. In church, learn to sing out, dance. Don't take life too serious. I'm going to say this. Okay, I won't say that. But hey, if you learn to laugh more, learn to smile more, learn to dance more without being, too conscious of what people will think, you will just discover that you're going to have better relationships with people in general. All right. So I'm going to take one or two questions. I have a very busy schedule, and so one thing I'll promise you is this: I will be consistent with these YouTube videos, even if they may not be as long. They will be straight to the point, and you get the point, and then we move on. Just next tomorrow, I'm going to be in Abuja in my full, pastoral office. But I'm a YouTuber today. So, do we have any questions, media team? Okay, so just pin it so I can see. So I think I will answer one or two questions. So this lady says, or is it a lady or a guy? Says sometimes guys don't know when they are leading a woman on. You know what? I want to have another YouTube. Let me screenshot this. This is worth another YouTube series on its own. All right. So I've screenshot this, and I'm going to do that. I think it's a serious issue. All right. Especially with Christians. Well, not especially with Christians, it's a general issue, but it's even more ridiculous with Christians because Christians ought to know better. So one more question. Let the question be about what we discussed today. Well, if you all got the message already, then we can call it a day. Please share this video with a friend, someone who would need the topic of discuss today, and then encourage them to subscribe. God bless you all. Thank you very much. If there's no question, then we're calling it a day. All right, so Fin Adeyemi said, is there an age limit to dating? I don't know what you mean by age limit. So do you mean age requirement? Because when you say limit, you are asking how old. So maybe you're asking, can an 80-year-old man, enter into a relationship? But when you understand what a marriage should be, then that will answer all those questions automatically. So the people who should marry are people who are mature emotionally, financially, spiritually, biologically. So those are the main areas. You have to be biologically mature, of course, and that's why nature tells you that. That's why there's something called puberty. So there are some organs that only begin to form when you are getting older. So biologically, financially, see, forget all the love songs and all the romantic movies you've seen. It's expensive to raise a family. It's not a joke, all right? So bear that in mind. So in fact, let me just throw this in. It's cute, for classmates to fall in love, but here is one question you must ask yourself. How is it going to work? You must wrap your mind around the practicality, of it, because when a guy graduates, his life is just starting. I'm saying psychologically. But when a lady graduates, more often than not, she's ready to marry, or she doesn't mind getting married. So there is just that dichotomy of expectations. So, and that's why many ladies end up with guys who are much older. It's just the way nature conditions us to that age bracket thing. Because we might be classmates, but we are at different spaces in expectation. And that's why, some of you ladies wonder, just the sound of marriage, and the guy is fidgety, the guy is running away because, the guy is trying to make a living, and you're trying to make babies, you're trying to make a home, so, I really feel that when you understand maturity, financial independence, it's really about maturity. All right. Then that's what really defines it. How do you define your parents' idea of ethnic background of a potential partner? Now, this is one of the most recurrent issues in this part of the world, and I think it deserves another YouTube. Let me screenshot this. We're going to have to discuss it. It's very heartbreaking, but respectfully, I want to say this. Just realize, I don't like to answer questions like this out of context, because now what I'm about to say might be misconstrued, misunderstood. But let me just say this. At the end of the day, it is you who is starting a home. It is you who will live with the consequences. It is you who will have that home much after your parents have gone to be with the Lord. So I just encourage you to bear that in mind. So I'm not saying defy them, and I'm not saying don't, but just I think it's a good place to start. That when it all comes down to it, I'm the one who will be most affected. I'm the one who will live with the consequences. So that will condition your mind when it comes to talking to your parents, persuading them, and all of that. And when it all comes down to it, more often than many times, a few times, the parents, anyways, if it is an ethnic preference, they are always wrong. They're always wrong. But sometimes I've seen a few cases where the parents have a point, and people are just fixated in their own ideas. The Bible says, in multitude of counsel, there is safety. And some people, especially when it's the lady who has the parents, disapproval, it's a totally different dynamic, if you ask me. Most ladies don't have the emotional strength, to just defy and go on and turn their backs on their parents. And I also want to say this. Parental support is very important. Very important. I won't lie to you. Especially when children begin to come with. There is this invention that is straight from heaven that has saved many marriages. It's called Omugo. Hey. That thing called Omugo, for our international audience, what we call Omugo here is just, the practice of maybe the mother of maybe usually the wife coming to spend some time with the family when they just have a child, to help, with babysitting, and just taking care of the child. Listen, it can save you. So the support is important.